Hi, I'm Scott Flowers with Cloud Ninjas. Today we're going to talk about Gigabyte R183-Z94-AAD2. Let's get going. Hey, thanks for stopping by today to learn a little bit more about the Gigabyte R183-Z94-AAD2. Do us a favor, find anything that helps you in this video, click that like, smash that subscribe. All right, we'll top in. Now, this is going to be a general hardware overview. We're going to cover CPUs, RAM, drives. We're going to go over network cards, RAID, supported operating systems. So let's hop into the good stuff. So I always like to start with the CPUs. So this is a dual socket SP5 is the socket type, which means it is an AMD 9004, which is the Genoa series, or 9005, which is the Turin series. And yes, the Turin series is supported. However, you do need to make sure you have an updated BIOS, and not all the Turins are supported. The bulk of them are, but if you have a 500 watt TDP Turin, which the last two of the series are, those are not supported. They're just too hot and too much power. So again, the bulk of the Turins are supported, just not the heavy power usage ones that are 500 watts. So, all right, let's get into all the really good stuff. So again, dual socket SP5. It's going to be your AMD Genoas and your Turins. And if you know me, I love the AMD Genoas and Turins. That's the top of the line right now. The Turins in particular are just came out and are just now readily becoming available, and are still actually very hard to get some of the chassis that support them right now. But if you are looking for some chassis, do please email us at sales@cloudninjas.com. We'd love to help you out and do a custom build for you. People ask all the time, hey, what CPUs do you recommend? And really, this is going to depend on your application, right? So we like to break it down into three different categories: our low end, our value, and our high end. Now, the low end sometimes can be almost as expensive as the high end right now because some of the speeds on the low end procs are the low end because of the cores, but the speeds make them actually cost just as much or even more than some of the high ends that we have listed here. But again, we still like to break it down, and we kind of break it down by the cores, but it depends what you want. If you want the faster speeds, if you want the higher cores, I personally, big fan on the Genoa side of the 9274Fs and the 9474Fs because I want the speed. Or on the Turin side, the 9275F or the 9475F. These are some of my personal favorites. But again, hey, it's up to you. What do you like? There's a bunch of great CPUs in the series. And if you have a fan favorite, drop a comment down below. All right, let's talk about memory. There are 24 DIMM slots inside. It takes DDR5 memory. So again, newest, latest, and greatest stuff. It takes up to 4800 speed memory, which is one of the downfalls because some of the newer systems out there do take 5600 speed, and some of them even take actually 6000 speed, but it takes 4800 speed memory module. So you can technically put in 5600, but again, just going to clock down. What sizes can you put in? You can go as low as a 16 gig, a 32 gig, a 48 gig, a 64 gig, a 96 gig, or all the way up to 128 gigabyte, which means you can actually max out at 3 terabytes of RAM, and this is going to be ECC registered, load reduced. Goodbye DDR5. It's not around. It is now an ECC registered world for DDR5. All right, let's talk about storage. There's going to be 12 2.5-inch small form factor drives in the front. They're going to be 4 that are NVMe, SAS, or SATA, so it's tri-mode, and there's going to be 8 that are SAS or SATA, and realistically, the 4 NVMe are what I think most people are going to be wanting this box for. And let's break down the types of drives you can use and the speeds and max sizes you can use. So there are 4 types of drives, and realistically probably 5, but 4 according to Gigabyte spec sheet. You're going to have a SATA solid-state drive, a SAS solid-state drive, a NVMe solid-state drive, a SATA hard drive, and you probably could put in a SAS hard drive in there. SAS 2.5-inch hard drives really aren't that prevalent nowadays. SAS 3.5-inch drives are great for storage, but for what we're using here, realistically, most people are going to be using solid-state drives as a whole. So for a SATA solid-state drive, you're going to have 6 gigabit per second. You're going to have 24 for SAS, and you're going to have 32 for NVMe. And you wonder, how did we get to the 32? Well, that is because it is Gen 5. So these are Gen 5 ports. Now, if you put in a Gen 4 NVMe drive, that's going to be 16 gigabit per second will be the max. So, those are going to be your speeds. And I did want to note, if you're thinking about, okay, well, I did put in a Gen 4 drive and that's 16, would a SAS at 24 be better? No, it is not. Don't let the numbers fool you. The read and write performance is going to be much better for your NVMe drive, and it's going to have lower latency, so we would still highly recommend NVMe. And right now, NVMe is actually cheaper than SAS or SATA, so not only is it better performing, it is a better price, so that is definitely the way we would recommend going. Now let's talk about the hard drive. It's 7.2K revolution per minute. Yep, that is a mechanical device. It is spinning around and around and around, so the ball bearings are going to wear out over time and they will die. At least it's a SATA hard drive as opposed to a SAS, which is going 10 to 15K revolution per minute and will definitely wear out sooner. But a SATA hard drive is kind of just an old school drive that has been around for a very, very long time. So let's talk about the capacity. So it's 7.68 terabyte for the SATA solid state drive. It's going to be 30.72 for the SAS. It's going to be 61.44 for the NVMe, and then it's going to be 2 terabytes according to Gigabyte spec sheet for the SATA hard drive, but we put in a 4 terabyte, so a whopping 4 terabytes, right? So really, the winner as a whole is going to be NVMe for scalability, NVMe for speed, and NVMe for price, so that is definitely the way we recommend. All right, so let's not forget the M.2s. There are 3 M.2 slots. That sounds really attractive at first, but they're all PCIe 3.0. Not as attractive. That's one of the things that I love about Zeus. They have some chassis that are PCIe 5.0, but really when you start looking at the M.2 slots, most of the manufacturers, Gigabyte, Supermicro, Trash Rock, a lot of these guys have gone with PCIe 3.0 drives for their M.2s. Not really sure why, because a lot of the machines are PCIe 5.0 on the front for the NVMe's, but that's what they've gone with. So there's 3 of them, but again, they're PCIe 3.0. And just for fun, one last thing. Let's put up a fun facts about SAS 4. All right, next up is RAID. So RAID, it depends on what you want, but we're going to throw up a ton of different hardware options. Most of them are Broadcom, but my personal favorite is going to be Grade. So we are an authorized Grade dealer, and we love Grade. Grade is essentially it's an NVIDIA GPU that they have taken, and they take their software and they tie it together, and it's going to be the best NVMe RAID out that you're going to find. Now, with this machine only having 4 NVMe ports in the front, might not be as important on this box, but for some of the other boxes out there that have 8, or even if you want to do NVMe up to 32 ports, Grade is my favorite option. So just something to keep in mind if that's a solution you're looking for on the storage side. All right, let's talk about the PCIe slots. There are going to be 2 PCIe slots in the back. They're going to be full height, half length. So another way of saying high profile. Both of them are going to be PCIe Gen 5 by 16. CPU 0, which again I like to call CPU 1, controls one of them, and CPU 1, which I like to call CPU 2, controls the other one. So again, if you're trying to only install one CPU, I do love that Gigabyte has a very helpful breakdown on their website that lets you know what is controlled. So that way, if you were like, oh man, I'm only putting one CPU, but I needed both PCIe slots, won't work. You'd need to have two CPUs at that point. There's also 2 OCP 3.0s, which are also Gen 5 by 16, which is very helpful, and one of them is controlled by, wait for it, CPU 0, which I like to call CPU 1, and one of them is also controlled by CPU 1, which I like to call CPU 2. So those are going to be your options for the network ports or the PCIe slots. Also important to note, there are 2 1 gigabit RJ45 ports built into the motherboard. Low speed, but still very helpful to have them built into the motherboard. So let's talk about the network cards as a whole. What interfaces are supported? Well, you have RJ45, which is just another way of saying Ethernet, super popular, what you use at home. You have SFP, SFP+, SFP28. You have QSFP+, QSFP28, QSFP56, QSFP 112, OSFP, or good old school fiber channel. Well, what speeds can you use? Well, you can go as low as 1, 10, 25, 40, 100, 200, 400, or if you're using fiber channel, 8, 16, or 32. So there's a ton of different speed options. It just depends on your interface and what speeds you want. All right, let's not forget about our good old friend power supplies. So the power supplies, there's going to be dual hot swap 1600 watt. They're going to be 80 plus platinum. They're going to be 100 to 240 volt or 200 to 240 volt. So those are your power supplies. Now, we might be hardware guys, but we do not forget about our good friends in the software industry. We love you guys, all right? So there are a number of supported operating systems. You're going to have your Windows 2019, 2022, and 2025, which I don't know if Gigabyte's actually updated their spec sheet yet, but 2025 is supported. And then you're going to have a number of your different Linuxes, your Red Hats, your Fedora, you're going to have all those that are going to be supported. So we're going to throw up a bunch of the supported operating systems. And if one's not listed, hey, do us a favor, drop a comment down below, help the other users out. Well, hey, if you made it this far, do us a favor. Click that like, smash that subscribe, and if you're looking for any custom-built servers, whether that's Gigabyte or Zeus or ASRock or Supermicro, if you're looking for HPE or Dell, we would sure love the opportunity to earn your data center, your home labs business. Please email us at sales@cloudninjas.com. That's sales@cloudninjas.com. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Take care.